Welcome to Filthy Casuals, a podcast about video games hosted by three very kind and extremely knowledgeable boys. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Tommy Dasilo, and with me, as always...
Ho, ho, ho! Merry video games! Pretty good, right? Had that one cooking for a week.
Yep.
Really put a lot of thought into that intro. I thought it was well crafted and very well delivered.
Did you write that one out on your new powerful PC? You finally had enough horsepower for Word to handle such genius?
Yes. It was just 40 pages of that copied and pasted over and over again.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
Really going crazy.
Shouldn't have done the Santa voice though, because he's the Christmas guy and not the Boxing Day guy.
Who's the Boxing Day guy?
You should have done the voice.
Shane Warne, I guess? It's a very...
Kids, do you hear that?
Yeah, like he plays cricket. We play Boxing Day on cricket. You could have picked a boxer also.
Okay.
Muhammad Ali or something would be the guy.
Yeah.
Or just made up. I was just going to say like the Boxing Day, like chameleon.
Boxing Day Bill?
Yeah.
The chameleon?
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Boxing Day again. Try to find me. You don't know where I am. Fuck you.
The Boxing Day sale?
Ah, you've audio located me.
I feel like
I should have stopped yelling.
I feel like this voice is slightly based on the fact that we were all doing Eric Cartman impressions just
Yeah, we
before we
were.
stared recording.
Yeah.
It wasn't, okay? So screw you guys.
But yeah, happy Boxing Day, everyone. I hope
Yes.
you had a good Christmas, if indeed that is what you celebrate.
Noxing Day.
There it
That's
is.
my name, Adam
There
Knox.
it is.
That's-
What day of the year is that?
Every day, pretty much. When's International Adam Knox's Day? Okay, you got International everything else.
That's Are You Okay Day.
But yeah, hope everyone's having a great holiday period. Bit of time off work. Hope you got some good video games in that stocking.
We did put a disclaimer of if you do celebrate Christmas, Boxing Day is not universal.
Yeah,
No,
it is.
It's just
No, it's not.
No, it's just Australian.
Nah, but the 26th of December is everywhere. It's a completely secular holiday as well.
It's not. It's not.
It absolutely is.
Well, Christmas Day, I believe, it basically is. It's the
Pretty
day
much.
it's the day of giving each other presents.
But Boxing Day actually is.
Except
because
it's
there's
not
no
universal.
religion attached to Boxing Day.
That is true.
That's why it's a secular holiday
That's true.
and it should be celebrated everywhere because we can all agree on that one.
And in
That-
Australia, it's sales.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
lot of sales.
That's it. No, but that's the Well, yeah, because it's only called Boxing Day in Australia, right?
Yeah.
And
Do
like
other countries have it?
Canada
Maybe.
and no,
Right.
the UK.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, really?
It's
UK has
yeah,
it?
it's an English
It's
thing.
not an
Right.
American thing. Yeah.
But I guess that's just because we don't have, or we've started to, but we typically do not have Black Friday in this country. So our big sales day is the day after Christmas.
yes.
Which did you know, was this the first year in Australia that there's been like a big push for Black Friday?
I reckon it's the second. I reckon it happened last year. Cyber Monday has started to become pretty big as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And that's frustrating because it's like, remember when you were growing up that you'd like being a little kid and like just seeing Halloween in cartoons and stuff and being like, this looks sick. I'm going to dress up and go around my neighborhood and try and get lollies.
Yeah.
And there'd be like older generation of people who were like, this Americanization of Australia, like not into it. And it was always like, shut up, old man. But I do feel that way about people getting into Black Friday here.
Really?
Yeah, because it's linked to a holiday over there.
Right, just
so there's no
logically you don't
reason
like
for
it.
it to exist here.
Yeah.
And
It is
also we have
weird.
Boxing Day.
It's like getting, when like only the sequel to a game will come over from Japan.
Right.
And you're like, well, I'm never going to touch this because where's the original?
Yep.
Show me the receipts.
Yes.
So that's definitely, I'm
I
with
like
you.
the idea of just getting into having Thanksgiving in Australia.
I
Just
prefer
getting
that.
together, cooking a lot of food in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Be nice.
I mean, we've got the other holiday that awkwardly celebrates us slaughtering a people. That's
Yeah.
Australia Day.
That's
We've got
true.
that. That's,
But we don't really do anything cool for it. That's the problem. It's like Thanksgiving, you get together with family.
my fucking mate Dougie jump into a pool cup.
You have a turkey. I like the idea of a day where you have like specific types of food that you don't roll out for the rest of the year.
Sure.
Whereas like our version of that is people getting pissed and putting on the flag as a cape.
Yes.
That's it.
I mean,
It's
that
brutal.
that sums up Australia though.
Pretty much.
It's perfect.
What a rotten country.
We used to. Well, we used to have the hottest 100.
Yeah.
On Australia Day.
Yeah, and then it got yeah, maybe this is probably interesting for international listeners. Our big youth broadcaster radio station would do a countdown of listener voted best songs of the year, hottest 100. It was always on Australia Day. Increasingly in this country, there's been a discussion about how that date and day brings a lot of pain to our Indigenous population,
Yeah,
our
it-
indigenous
It
peoples.
essentially celebrates the almost genocide of
Yes.
an entire race of people.
So there's been a discussion about moving the date. Triple J decided to be very forward-thinking, and because a lot of what people think of Australia Day is listening to the Hottest 100, they've moved the date of when the Hottest 100
It
happens.
was like a weekend back or something.
But honestly, like the easier answer is to get rid of the Hottest 100 because who would ever listen to something that's just counting down other people's favorites of a type of media from the year? Ridiculous.
Well, we're pretty strict about how the Filthy Casuals Game of the Year edition episode always has to come out on Boxing Day because we like the idea of people getting together in a park with their mates, gathering around the Bluetooth speaker,
chucking
crushing
a frisbee
slab
around.
Because I did used to do stuff on Australia Day purely because of the Hottest 100,
Yeah.
and now that it's moved, it means that I don't do anything on Australia Day, and I also don't listen to the Hottest 100.
Right.
Maybe that's coincided with me now being 33 as well.
You listen to the Double J Hottest 100 of the 90s.
I do.
We were definitely in the sweet spot of age, though, where everyone who we were friends with was cool enough to like the Hottest 100, but not cool enough to realize what the problem with the day was yet.
Right.
So we had those golden years between like 2005 to 11.
And it was sort of okay to be like, well, I'm not celebrating Australia Day. I'm just going to a park with friends and listening to the Hottest 100.
Yes.
Exactly.
I'm fine. I'm above all this discussion.
Yeah.
When it's like, no.
I'm 22 and I don't really have to do anything.
Yeah. It's fine for me to not have an opinion.
This is the same as any other day, literally, because I am a fucking waste of space at the moment.
That's true. We did have the benefit of being in our early 20s at the time where it was fine to not really know what the fuck was going on or
Yeah.
be engaged in any way whatsoever. If you were 21 now and you didn't go to a significant rally, you'd be a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
Back then, you could text all your friends really easily. They were all there, but you didn't have that social media anxiety in the back of your head just
Right.
yet.
Yeah.
Seeing
It was
all the
perfect.
pictures of the march to not go to Iraq and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know what year it is now. And like, it's 2007, but don't go again. Don't go more.
All right. Well, yeah, this is our big top 5 best games of the year of 2019. We've been doing this for a few years now. I think the first year we did it as a joke, and we did joke answers,
Yeah.
and that seemed to annoy more people than it entertained. So I think from the next year we decided that we should take it seriously.
Yes.
And lo and behold, a tradition was born.
I honestly think.
Same as Boxing Day, really. Honestly,
Yeah.
that's like the rich people gave their servants presents as a joke. Then the servants were like, "Oh my god, thank you, finally."
I don't think we were that into video games the first year we did it. I think we were like, we can't genuinely do a top games of the year thing.
I can't remember why we did it. So I think we just thought it'd be funny.
Yeah.
For the first year of this pod, I owned a Wii U and that was it. And now I've got every console available.
Yeah.
And it feels good. Well, yeah, we all do.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. A console that effectively doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Pretty much every
and
game.
barely existed at the time.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we thought at the time, because Adam, you had an Xbox,
That's right.
Ben had a PS4.
Yes.
And I had a Wii U, and we were like, this is going to be a great podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got all bases covered, boys.
One of us is neat, one of us is messy, the other one has a Wii U. Just
It's
kinda-
the classic 3-person dynamic.
But yeah, 2019, what do you think overall? Should we just do overall vague
Yeah.
thoughts before we get into it?
We should say as well, we're recording this almost a month before it comes out.
Mm-hmm.
It's the start of December now. So there's a good chance that by the time, because we're pre-recording to have a little break over the thing, we haven't fully played everything. There's a couple of significant
Sure.
games that I think I might like that I haven't really had the time for yet.
Yeah, specifically due to it being the end of the year and holidays and stuff coming up, we're pre-recording these, but we will also have had the most time to play games
Right.
after we've recorded.
In January at some point we'll catch up with that stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
so it won't be...
You know what's funny to think about? This
full.
time last year, when we did our one of these, it's crazy to think this time last year, a game that was on, I don't know if it was on yours, Ben, but it was on me and Adam's list.
Yeah.
Wasn't even out yet.
What?
Smash Brothers.
Sure.
Smash Brothers
Or it
came
would have
out.
just come out. It was like the 4th of December or something.
It was this coming Friday.
Was it really?
I know because it came out the
Right.
day that I went to the Meredith Music Festival, and that's next weekend, which is crazy to think about. That such a big game of the year came out right at the tail end.
True. I mean, luckily, it was so obvious what that game was going to be that
Yeah.
we could have
yeah,
put
leave
it
a
on.
space in the top 5.
Don't worry too much about Astro Bot and hang out.
Yeah.
That was such a good game. But yeah, this year overall, I've honestly struggled a little bit to completely flesh it out to 5 games
Yeah.
that I've personally really, really loved.
Yeah.
There have been some that have been great, but it's been a pretty off and on year. I think that the impending new consoles and all that sort of stuff
Yep.
means that a few significant delays as well into next year. It's been a little dry. It's been
It has
good,
been a little dry, but
there's
you know,
been dry,
It's been
dry
flat.
bits.
It's been a lot of 7.5 out of 10.
A lot of solid 8s. Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking about this. The stuff that I liked this year and got into, I really got into. Like, to the point where some of those games would probably be in some of my favorite gaming experiences of all time. But the gap between those couple of things and everything else is so vast.
Number 1 and 2 on my list, I'm pretty happy with.
Yeah.
Number 3 is great.
Yeah.
4 and 5 are pretty lucky they came out this year.
Right.
You're pretty lucky. Don't test me.
Honestly,
Right?
from 4 to like all of my honorable mentions, everything's on the same level basically.
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3 would be lucky to squeak into a 5 in any other year, I reckon.
Such a great ad for the rest of the episode. Like, I can imagine someone listening going like, all right, well, I'm just going to turn this app off now. There's no point.
Everyone else
pushing
had the
this.
same year.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
We just missed the news of like 10 fucking Zeldas coming out.
Yeah.
I guess there was one and it came nowhere near my list.
Yeah, interesting.
And yeah, we'll do some little categories and shit.
Well, what do you want to start with? We've got we've got these other little categories that we've done for the last couple of years of sort of other things that aren't just like our top 5 of what we liked. Do you want to start with let's get the most negative stuff out of the way first.
Okay.
How does that sound?
Fuck you.
Do you want to start with biggest disappointment of the year?
Sure.
All right. Who wants to go first? We
All
all
right.
looked at each other like the end of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
All right, I'll go first. For me, Mario Kart World Tour.
Oh, I've forgotten about that one.
I would have thought mobile Mario Kart game could be real fun.
Right.
Should be real fun.
Okay.
But boy, oh boy, one of the worst experiences I've ever had.
It's bad. I wasn't looking forward to it, so I wasn't
Yeah,
disappointed.
okay, sure.
That's why it's not on my list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played about 16 seconds of it, and I think it was entirely on this podcast live that I played.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seemed shitty. What were you like? Could they? What would you have hoped for them to have done for this to have lived up to the Mario Kart?
Well,
thing?
you know what? I guess the problem is if it had come out maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, like
Yeah.
pre-deep, like, you know, microtransaction-y in-game purchase kind of stuff. If they had just made a Mario Kart game and put it on the phone and kind of thought about the controls, hold the phone in landscape mode.
Hold the phone.
If they had just made a little Mario Kart game that's on the phone that feels like a Mario Kart game, but you just control it in a slightly different way and you can take it with you, great. But they made this cash grab, fucking weird, having to like buy packs to get characters, and it controls like shit, and it
that's
just
the
doesn't
thing.
work holding it in portrait mode. Like,
Was it the fact that so the microtransactions sound bad,
yeah,
but it didn't even control well.
yeah, it didn't
anyway,
didn't feel
Yeah.
good. Yeah, Mario Kart has such a specific, even though they kind of tweak and refine it with each one, it has such a specific feel to it that just feels great. And like, you can get into a different kart racing game and have fun with that, and you go, oh, this is probably as good or better than Mario Kart, and then you go back to Mario Kart and go, nah, this is just worlds apart.
Right.
The feel of this is just so great and fluid, and it's so easy to pick up, and it just had none of that joy. It just didn't feel good to play with the like swiping on it just such a bummer. And I mean, look, I don't love playing stuff on my phone, so calling it a huge disappointment, similar to you, Ben, is probably like, it's not like I was banking on like oh man, I can't wait to be playing Mario Kart on my phone, non-stop.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like one of my favorite gaming series, and I genuinely don't think they've made a bad one on the console.
Sure, yeah.
It's so reliable.
In the context of its own pedigree.
Yeah.
It's just such a drop.
Right. So
Yeah.
for there to be one that I think objectively is bad.
Yep.
And
I think objectively is the
Sorry, yeah.
In my opinion, this is objective.
that just feels bad and feels so different to what the formula is. It's just like so jarring. It's like, this feels so strange.
Yeah.
To have one of these that just is crappy. So yeah, that's probably my biggest letdown of the year.
Fair.
I was excited for Little Town Hero / Town.
Right.
And
Back when it was called Town, I
Yeah.
could see that. Mm-hmm. After the name change, you should have smelled a rat.
I know, and maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention. I had my nose plugged.
Yeah.
I didn't smell no rat. But it's one of the worst gaming experiences I had in the year.
Wow.
And the fact that I was looking forward to it at all means, objectively, it's my biggest disappointment. It was just, it just wasn't a good game.
Yeah, right.
So I never got around to playing that one either, but it sounded like like an RPG, which is what this is.
Yes.
Is basically the writing and the combat.
Yes.
So like a sense of exploration and the world building, I guess, falls into the writing.
World building, characters, combat, character progression, I guess, is an RPG.
Out of those elements, it sounded like the combat was okay.
Yes.
But every other outside bit around it, and the dialogue especially, was shit.
And the combat was... I never fully got to grips with it and got into like that flow state of like, this is... I get what this game is and how it plays. It was innovative, like it was different. It was different to combat that I experienced before, and that's what I liked about it. So I wasn't even like, I really love the combat.
Yeah.
I just thought it was interesting. But everything else I hated.
And why would you bother going further down that road with the combat? If the writing's anything like the writing in Pokemon, which is Game Freak as well.
Yeah, yes.
Which it just
God, and that should have
bland,
tipped me off
empty,
as well.
Right?
Yeah.
Boilerplate bullshit.
Yeah.
Just like, hello, I am here to have a Pokemon. Would you like a Pokemon?
Those two games being back to back,
Yeah.
and coming out so close together, really does highlight like, man, this is an area that Game Freak are really shit at. Because I was gonna say I liked enough about it. Like I liked the combat and I liked the art style that I was about to say, I guess maybe they'll make a sequel and they'll refine some of that. But it's like they might be able to refine the progression a little bit and make it a little bit more interesting. But like we've seen from Pokemon, we've seen from enough other examples that they just suck at writing and building interesting things in an interesting framework for that. I think it was a great combat system to work in. So it's just like, it's just such a shame. Like they should just, it'd be cool if they could just sell that that system to another company and like let them make a good game with that combat system in it.
And when you're creating an original property that doesn't have the nostalgia free pass that a Pokemon does, you just can't fuck it up with the writing.
Yeah.
That has to be good.
Yeah.
So, Little Town Hero, you're on my shit list for the year.
Little Town Zero.
Oh.
How about that? How about that for the what do they call it? The deck underneath. You got the headline, and then underneath you got the deck.
Yeah.
The veranda in Australian publications.
It'd be cool if Mad Magazine brought out a video game console and all they did was just release parodies of games. So it's just like you go into the shop and it's like, for the Mad Magazine entertainment system, Little Town Zero, and it's just like you putting it in and it's all the characters going, here I am with some utterly boring dialogue. It just plays exactly the same, but it's just spoofing it the entire way through.
Now out on the Mad Box, Star Wars Jedi feeling border.
Yeah.
Which is, I think... I've got a few written down here.
Well, what my other disappointment for the year could also be Mad Magazine headline, Kingdom Farts 3.
Nice.
Is that, I mean, I wasn't as hyped for it. I mean, I wasn't that hyped for Little Town Hero, but I was still pretty hesitant about Kingdom Hearts, having not really got into them and them being so, complex.
Yeah.
But I played a bunch of it and it wasn't a fun game.
I hated that fucking first one. I played through all of that first one for one of our old Patreon episodes.
Yeah.
And fuck, it was just terrible. And like, it is, I think a lot of people woke up to what Kingdom Hearts really is with this one too. It sounded like, because that first one was awful, but people have such a nostalgia for it because they played it when they were 9 and stupid.
And 9-year-olds love Disney shit.
Sure.
So.
Yeah.
And if you like Kingdom Hearts, I'm not calling you stupid. I'm calling you 9.
But we were
No,
talking about this off air.
different
Like I
things to
remember,
different
I was
people.
excited for it too. Never played one before. I thought cool on the on the PS4. It'll look really good. Like
Yeah.
I like the kind of idea. I've always thought the weird mashup kind of thing of it is really interesting. So I was like, excited to play it, and then the pre-release reviews come out, and this is what we were talking about off air. That thing of stuff being reviewed by people who are like massive fans of the series. So I remember it was getting these like crazy reviews. It was getting 9s and stuff, and I went in going, hell yeah, this is going to be fucking great. But then realizing, like it was being reviewed primarily by people who have this huge attachment to the series.
Yeah.
Wanted to see it wrapped up, saw it wrapped, felt like it was like a great fitting end to this series that they love, that they have these rose-colored glasses for, and like playing playing like a couple of hours of it and just being like, I don't think I'm getting this. Like kind of convincing myself for the first bit, like I think this is kind of fun and cool and like visually interesting, and but yeah, I just dropped off so quickly and sold it after we'd reviewed it.
Fuck.
Yeah, there's something off about all those games, and it's weird because it could be this fun combo.
Yes.
But there's no fun in them to me. There's not a sense of that Disney Pixar type joy or the, rollicking kind of adventure-y fun from the Square side.
Yeah.
It's just all pretty flat with the first one, but
My
it
main
sounds like
thing-
the third one's the same too.
Yeah.
My main thing, which we talked about, was that the combat just felt so floaty. You have to get you in these fights all the time, and it doesn't feel You got these huge weapons. It doesn't feel satisfying at all to wipe people out. There was no weight to anything that you did, so you felt like whoosh, like knocking over a huge. In some games like that, just feels so satisfying.
Yeah.
It just felt like you're holding a balloon and you're throwing that balloon into some just dust, and it
Totally. And it was you just throw a balloon over and over and over and over
Yeah.
for the entire duration of the game. And that people compared it to Final Fantasy 15, like, it's just a reskinned version of that. But the skin of Final Fantasy 15 was cool. It was fun and weird and quirky, and the relationship with those main characters drove the game.
Yeah.
And none of that was there in Kingdom Hearts 3.
Damn. Well, I've got a couple here. I had Crackdown 3 written down here, but I don't think there's any point. I don't think I actually thought it was going to be good. By the
Right.
end.
right. Yeah,
The promise of it as being like one of the initial games announced for the Xbox One, but I don't know if that even was promised, so I'm going to delete that one.
Delete it. I
Yeah.
know. Included it, and you just said it.
Nah, it's deleted.
You're going to edit it out?
No one listened to the last 20
You are
odd
a
seconds of the
fucking
podcast.
prick.
Because it's so interesting. It was going to be this possibly revolutionary launch game.
But I don't know if that ever actually was the case, because they were saying that they were using the cloud stuff to make buildings fall over.
Yeah.
That was their big thing. But the Crackdown games have always been a little shitty. And like that first one got big because it had a Halo 3 demo in it.
Right.
The second one, I think, was just kind of muted reception. And yeah, this third one, by the time it came out, like initially they're like, yeah, we're going back to Crackdown and we're doing this crazy cloud computing thing.
And were the initial footage things kind of exciting to people?
Not
or-
really.
yeah.
It was an interesting tech idea to have like this online,
Server driven.
just having a super processor
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
you're
right.
using this online stuff. But then even at the time, it was very much will that work? And well, do I want to always be connected? And what happens if the game stops being connected to the internet? Does it break?
Right.
It never really made sense. And then it clearly didn't make sense to them because they spent years and years on it, dropped that, added Terry Crews, and it was clear nah. And then it was
funny?
just like a bland third-person
It feels like we were
game.
obsessed
Yeah.
with that game on the show for a bit because it kept getting pushed back.
Yeah.
And then it would be at E3 and we'll talk about it a lot and we were very fascinated. I'd completely forgotten that it even existed.
It was one of the few Microsoft exclusives as well.
Yeah, everything about it was just so interesting, and then immediately it's like, come out.
Same as
it's fun.
there was, I think, that year where they had Scalebound and all those
Yes.
sort of ones too
Yeah.
that never amounted to anything. So,
But anyway, you're deleting that one.
Yeah.
yeah, it's gone.
Yeah.
So the last few minutes didn't happen.
Waste of time.
The Microsoft exclusive they did release that I didn't enjoy as much as I was hoping for was Gears 5.
Yeah.
Right.
Just a sort of unnecessary feeling, kind of dull continuation of this story that isn't being particularly well written at this point. and like just no more kind of imagination left in it. The open world stuff that they were like touting is like this is the Gears thing now.
The wild area.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
The slightly larger level that they rendered
Where
just
you're on a little boat, ski
you're on those
thing.
floating bullshit things. There was just nothing to it. It had that same problem that I have with, again, the Tomb Raider games and the other game that is actually the most disappointing one, where the exploration that they're talking about is to no end. There's no real reward for doing it. There's no feeling of
Like
accomplishment
discovery
or discovery or anything like that, because it's just an obvious place on the map that you go to easily and shoot the 3 things that are there, and then it goes, whoa, I can't believe we found this crazy thing. Like, what fucking crazy thing, Marcus? Marcus Phoenix, you outdated Duke Nukem motherfucker. Get out of here.
That very quickly sounded like a John Oliver bit. You know, what crazy bit, Marcus?
You're going to tell me you found Rudy Giuliani? So whatever. But yeah, it was just flat in a way that the series hadn't been for me up until that point.
Yeah, right.
Not the worst game in the world.
It's on my list of games I liked playing this year.
Yeah, I liked playing it. I finished it, but
I had no expectations. And so it does sound like it was a little less interesting than every previous game in the franchise.
and less interesting than the ideas they were putting forward that they had to make this different from those.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Would you say you enjoyed the launch event that we went to for the game more than you enjoyed the game itself?
Far, far less, because it involves social interaction.
Yeah, but there was free beers.
Yeah, but just watching people get tattooed and then people coming up to you and being like, do you want to play the game? I'm like, nah.
What
We
I
saw
want
that
is for you
huge
to not
TV.
ask me.
Yeah. I'm
saw that
I'm
huge
bad
TV,
with
that
that
was
stuff as well. For
Yeah,
some
the
reason,
TV was cool.
my like old fucking, primary school pretend you don't like games so you don't get bullied thing kicks in.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
yeah.
And even if I'm at that thing, I'm like, no, I think this shit's for nerds. I put on that mask.
Yes, I went home and played it for 40 hours, but
Yeah, I talked about it on a podcast and said that it didn't deliver as much as I was excitedly hoping for. But I'm only here for the beers, my friend. One other quick disappointing one, and then the main one. Link's Awake.
Whoa.
I'm milking this.
Yeah,
okay.
I was
I
going to say
wrote
the
it
Adam
down.
Knox disappointment corner is going to take up 45 minutes of this episode.
I thought the Link's Awakening remake wasn't good.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
I thought it was a poorly done remake beyond just the general gist of the art style, which towards the end I didn't even think was that well implemented in it. It didn't run that great for me. It really didn't add anything to the game or bring out anything of the feeling of that original for me. If anything, it put into contrast like, oh yeah, this game's old and it's outdated. And the shit they did add, like those rooms that you could do a Mario Maker type thing out of, was shitty. Yeah, just didn't do it for me at all. Was all the sorts of stuff that I don't like about remakes, and I finished it. Yeah, but
that was one of my favorite games of the year.
Right.
I haven't finished it yet.
Yeah.
I finished it because
insane.
I'd played that Game Boy one and it was really fucking easy.
That's fair. Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
game is so easy and so straightforward and so old.
Yeah,
you know?
it's totally an old-fashioned game.
And not the least bit, like the Resident Evil 2 remake that came out this year.
Right.
Put that up against the Link's Awakening one, and the Link's Awakening one, in my opinion, looks like shit compared to it,
Right.
because they haven't thought for a second about how to make it pop today. You know, they haven't actually updated it. They've modded it and put a coat
Right.
of paint over the top.
Which, for me, having never played it before,
Yeah.
I just thought of it as a remastered release, which it's not, and it's more expensive than one,
Yeah.
which is not right. But I loved it. I'd never played it before, and it was, for that time of year, for whatever I was, in the mood for,
Yeah.
the perfect game. I really, really enjoyed playing it. I would have enjoyed playing it when it came out originally, and had I played it.
Yeah.
But I played it this year, and it's a good game.
It was a good game on the Game Boy. I think it's a bad remake.
Right.
Which I think we can both come to terms.
Yeah, I accept that.
You accept those terms?
Yes.
Then you may marry my daughter. You
many
didn't
rules
realize
you
how
got?
much was at stake here. I've got 7 more rules. Yeah, but the most disappointing was Jedi Fallen Order for me
Very
because
interesting.
I let myself it because it came so close.
Right.
That's what sometimes the most disappointing thing is like still better than a lot of other stuff, but it came so close to being actually good, and then it just wasn't. I let myself get sucked in
Right.
as well by like the thing that like, oh, these are people who made Titanfall 2. That was a fucking awesome game.
Yes. Yeah.
And it was
That's a genuine reason to be very excited for.
Yeah.
Like that was Titanfall 2, one of the best games of the decade.
so good, yeah.
Respawn, yeah, great company. And that completely makes sense, yeah.
And I just really feel like, not that they dropped the ball with this, but that they didn't throw it as far as it looked like they were going to.
Right.
Yeah.
And the fact that it just ended up being Tomb Raider with lightsabers, you know, it made me want to see them give it another go.
Right.
But this time round really frustrated me in some ways because it was getting there and it clearly knew that what it was wanting to be. And either through time constraints or through, I'm going to guess that it was a lack of resources and stuff like that, because I think that is a team that has the ability to make something really, really good.
I would say, if I had to guess, a lack of resources and a deadline.
Yeah,
Because surely it
exactly.
had to come out before the Star Wars movie at
Yeah.
the end of the year.
Yeah.
Before EA's contract with Star Wars is up as well,
Yep.
which is relatively soon, I think.
Yep.
Like the way that EA just makes games is
Yeah.
along those lines too.
Well, this is actually the most disappointing thing. I completely forgot. I had a game-breaking bug towards the end of the game.
Right.
I couldn't finish the game.
Right.
I reloaded it. I did a bunch of different things. I left the planet. I went back. And there's a bridge.
Right.
And
When you say you left the planet,
Mm-hmm.
do we talking about?
Yeah, bro. I took a few deep breaths.
Say your thought. Yeah, don't relax now.
But it's fucked. Like,
Is it when the bridge bends? Was that the bug?
no, it's a big,
Okay.
big, like wooden bridge that you force push down on the
Right.
red planet.
Right.
And I force pushed it down. I went past it. I died. You respawn on the other side. You go back. The bridge is down. You go to walk over it. You fall right through it.
Oh no. Right.
And there was nothing I could do about it. Maybe they've patched it, but you know,
Sure.
I had other shit to do.
There were bugs the whole way through that game for me of just like stuttering heaps, things loading in weird. The AI was terrible. The combat was fine,
Yeah.
but like halfway there sort of thing. Just a pretty standard, like it wasn't like a Soulsy type thing, which is fine, but it also wasn't like a Batman-y type thing. It was just like this kind of in the middle thing.
It also suffers in comparison to a game that came out earlier in the year that had Jedi-esque force
Right.
push and combat.
Right.
It was a lot more fun and much more well done,
Totally.
despite similar stuttering issues.
Some issues that almost exactly the same issues, but there was just a lack of imagination that kind of, or not even imagination. I don't know quite what the word is, but there was a lack of
Flair or something?
flair. I
Yeah.
guess is a word for it.
That's how I feel about it.
It was such a workman.
yes, straight down the line. Like, like good levels. Like I thought a lot about it was really good.
Yeah.
Combat was fun. It was pretty. I was playing it on hard, and it was quite punishing, and very
Yeah.
satisfying. But yeah, I think it was a lack of sort of, and it suffers in comparison to really good Star Wars games, as every Star Wars game will.
But then also Uncharted games and stuff like that, because it has those sort of moments where it's like, oh fuck, this big event is happening.
Yeah.
But there's something about it where it just falls flat every single time with that game, pretty much.
I think the fact that it doesn't fall flat like 4 times
Yeah.
and then it falls flat 15 times is what made me a
Right.
little shitty on it. It didn't even come close to my best 15 games of the year.
Nah.
It's just a little too flat.
Yeah, there's something missing in it, hopefully in a way where the sequel is great. But that disappointed me because I did end up being quite excited for it. And then that realization as I was sort of 4 or 5 hours into it of like, shit, I don't think I like this very much.
Yeah.
But anyway, I finished that.
All right. Well, do we want to move on to we've had these 2 categories? I think for pretty much every year we've done these episodes. We have the what they used to have names that were related to the Uncharted series, which
Yes.
seems like a wildly out of date premise now.
It is.
Yeah.
But
Let's
it was
put them over to the Star Wars, the new Uncharted.
Make
Okay.
them a little less interesting.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
Basically, the what is it? The company or games or whatever it is that fucked it, and then the flip side of that category is the nailed it category.
Right.
Companies that fucked it.
And the
Yeah.
companies that sucked it. Oh, yeah.
Fucked it, they did. Oh, I hate myself. Well, so yeah, do you want to start off with the negative side of this? We were talking about this a little bit off air, and it does feel a little too early to judge this one, but just in terms of a launch and a rollout and everything, Google Stadia, less than ideal. Maybe long term it'll be fine, but definitely the vibe on it coming out has been, I would say, from what we've heard from people who have engaged with it, pretty tepid overall. Still some people into it, but yeah.
Yeah, tepid overall. Some people who are weirdly are just like, no, it does everything that they said on the box, and I like it. I also like this, like the philosophy of it, the purpose of it. So it's really hard to be, to weigh in. I haven't tried it.
Yeah.
Well, I think even over the course of this year, the way that we've talked about it has changed hugely.
Right.
From, I think, realizing each of the things that it isn't, that it seems like it could be.
Right.
The fact that it doesn't have a Game Pass equivalent.
Right.
That it's doing like the one game a month for your subscription fee, but no, you have to full price pay for these games. That eliminates a lot of the appeal to me, especially in light of other things that we'll talk about later that have happened this year that have done that.
Right.
Including Game Pass, which is fucking great.
Yes.
As a concept. That's been the biggest change personally, realizing like, oh, this is just another like platform, but with these huge limitations, especially in this country, to actually enjoying it.
And relatively dull range of games.
Terrible
Yeah.
range of games,
Yeah.
honestly. Like,
No an exclusive that was just like knack. It was a similar sort of thing.
Yeah.
some sort of bullshit thing. And then like, like they're having like, oh, we've got, last year's Assassin's Creed game and 3 Tomb Raiders.
Yes, that's right.
It's not awful. It doesn't seem like, because it is working for enough people, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and who knows, long term, maybe it kicks off, but it's also perhaps unfair of us to be judging it, right after launch. I mean, plenty of consoles aren't great right after launch.
But they work for everyone, usually. Like,
yes, yeah.
They have games that have come out deliberately for them, and like they don't fucking chew up your internet data like that does. Like in the world that we currently live, as a future, hypothetical whatever thing, then it's still a cool idea. But right now it seems like not a good launch.
Yep.
Like not even getting it delivered out to all the people who pre-ordered it.
Yeah.
It not working with anything other than just a Chromecast to begin with. All that sort of stuff really made it a shit launch.
Yeah.
So at the very least, in terms of just a release of a product, it was a poor job.
Yeah.
And it's made that product as an idea, even if they do fix it, just less impactful, I guess, or is it like I'm not paying attention anymore.
I think I wouldn't be surprised if someone else comes in a year's time with the same idea and nails it.
And what if it's Microsoft or Sony? What if it's
Totally.
the xCloud stuff,
Absolutely, yeah.
Because it turns out that the infrastructure that Google was talking up about itself, like we got all this shit, hasn't really counted for much, has it? Because it's still really demanding on the user's end. Yeah. So it's probably up to, smarter code or something. I'm not a fucking computer, but yeah. Also disappointing that it is launched and we can't do it. That's also another element of disappointment about that launch.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. We can't weigh in. Yeah.
The fact that they've released it in quotes, but also gone, fuck off.
It feels like it's 1999 where we're having to wait, an extra 6 months for the Nintendo 64 to come out here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Blizzard, not a great look for them this year.
Nah, that Hong Kong stuff with Blitzchung and we talked about it on the podcast, so not a huge amount of point in going back over it, but several different companies over the year.
Shitty.
Yeah. Not a great look with what's happening in China and Hong Kong right now.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the...
before we move on, just quickly, I won't name this person, but I spoke to someone who worked at EA for a long time.
Damn.
Who worked on localization.
Okay.
And they worked on porting things like FIFA from the West to Asia.
Right.
And one of the things they did was removed the Hong Kong and Taiwan soccer teams
Wow.
from the game for the China release.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
boy.
and this was, this is a long time ago. Wasn't recent. This was like 10 years ago. This stuff's been happening for a long time. It's good that we're aware of it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought that was pretty interesting.
Is my favorite team still in there? I go for the Tibet Bears. Are they still in there?
I think you should absolutely ruin this person's life by naming them on air, you fucking coward. All right, let's get into the positive stuff now.
Hell yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
no, we got to mention Bethesda fucking Fallout first.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That
Sure.
Fallout.
I think this award should be retitled to the Bethesda Memorial Award because they do it every year.
I have a feeling we even did that last year. For
I reckon
some,
we
that
did,
has
yeah.
rung
Right,
a bell.
yeah.
Because last year was Fallout 76, and
Yes.
this year they're like, guys, okay, so sorry about releasing all your private information and releasing that broken game as well, and
Yeah.
fucking it for ages.
We're releasing a short film sob story.
Yeah.
And
We
then
should
we're
have
gonna,
it.
Yeah,
we should
that
have-
thing at E3 that
Yeah.
they started their press conference with, right?
Yeah.
And it was all their employees being like, hey, we're people too.
Yeah.
Don't send us death threats. Which, yeah, fair enough. But
Yeah.
also maybe have a little bit of introspection about why it is that you're having to do this.
Yeah.
And then knowing some of those people directly saying, hey, please be kind to us, knew in the back of their head that they were about to charge $13 a month
Yes.
for, like a backpack or whatever you fucking get.
Yeah. We should have an in memoriam on this every year, and it's just we talk about Bethesda with sad music playing underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rest
More
in
of our
peace.
hopes and dreams have died thanks to Bethesda.
Okay, let's get into the positives. Well, the nailed it category for this year, Apple Arcade. A great service, something that I haven't spent much more time with it since we talked about it first, but
Yeah.
great service, great value, some great games in there. Definitely do need a little help navigating it and finding the ones that stick out, but as a curated platform, something that I kind of was like, pretty tepid on, didn't really have much of an opinion either way when it was announced and everything, and then got it and was like, oh, this is cool. Like, what the golf being in there was great.
What the golf is great.
Yeah, great service.
Yeah.
And a great, in terms of a Game Passy kind of thing, it's like, this is the way forward. This is how it should work.
It works across all the different devices, like they said as well.
Yep.
Like you can actually do that now properly. This is the sort of thing that I thought Stadia again was going for.
Sure.
Yeah.
But this one totally works. There's some, especially with mobile games, just being able to jump into a fucking random thing and see if you like it, and then go nah,
Yeah.
is a really great feeling.
It's, I mean, like, obviously, and we've spoken about Game Pass a lot this year. It's probably the perfect model for it for consoles, but it almost works better as a mobile service because you can download the game in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And that, I think that really underlines how well Apple executed it.
I mean,
$8 a month. If you play 2 of these games, then you have paid probably less than you would have if you'd have bought them if they were full price things. There's no microtransactions in it. There's no ads and stuff like that.
And just it being a kind of a curated list as well, which you could make the argument that there's only a need for this because the App Store has become such a junkyard of just them letting any old shit on there that it is so hard to navigate and find what's good. So, in an ideal world, if they had been a bit more selective to begin with about what they allow on there, then there may not be the need for this.
Sure.
But then at the same time, I would love to see, Nintendo implement something like this, where they, like, their Switch eShop is a bit of a disaster. Like, it's so
It's
full
fucked,
of junk. If they kind of cherry-picked good, like, indie devs and were like, $8 a month, you can get any one of these new ones that we've given our kind of, like, boost to, like, our little seal of approval, it'd be great.
Yeah.
Even, like, the idea of, like, a Game Pass thing, it doesn't have to be the big AAA things. So many good indies come out that, the big companies getting behind that model and just going like, hey, a lot of these come out. It's hard to know what's good. It's hard for like a smaller team to get traction. Well, we're going to pick these guys up and work with them and then just kind of like hand them to you on a plate. Have a little try. See what you think.
I think it would be great for Nintendo, especially because it's half a a portable console as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess there is something about like with the the what do you call it, the
Video game.
subscription service thing.
Yep.
I don't know how whether it's good or bad, the way that companies are getting paid for their work at the moment. I don't know how
Yeah.
fair those contracts are at the
Oh,
moment,
okay, Right. sure.
or if it's like a Spotify sort of situation where everyone's like, we're making a fucking $1 for all this
A
work.
year.
Hope
Yeah.
someone plays it. Yeah.
So that's one element of these, but as just it's increasingly becoming the default for entertainment stuff is to have a subscription, and for any type of software, you have a yearly subscription that gets you a constantly updated version of this product.
I guess the difference with a music, this is way off track, but the difference with a music service is that that's allowing you to stream these products that already exist elsewhere. Whereas something like a Netflix, like streaming it on that, you're getting like original content that they can bank on. Well, we'll pay the people who make this content to make it, because we're relying on people. We'll get that money back from people.
Yeah.
So if
And
Apple
it's
start
also-
doing that,
it's-
it's like this is an exclusive, and you have to get. Well, then they're going to have the money to pay those studios properly.
Sure,
exactly,
but the
yeah.
ones that they have there now are available for purchase on like the Switch or the PC or whatever
Yeah.
as well. So I've heard it both ways.
Yeah.
That the company, and I think it's negotiated on a per company sort of basis.
Right.
And some of them are like, I don't know if that was actually a good move. And some of them are saying like, yeah, no, they paid us fairly.
Yeah.
So we put it up there. But definitely just as from a consumer point of view, I love to consume.
All right, let's get into the top 5.
Oh!
Each of our 5 games of the
Damn.
year 2019.
Is that it?
What?
Yeah, all right.
We've been going for 45 minutes.
Fair enough. I'd written 10 other things for each of the categories.
Is that it?
There's
Is
only
that
one of
it?
there's only one that I'll mention if it doesn't come up during these 5. And I
Okay.
guess we've got honorable mentions.
Yeah, we got honorable
I'm gonna
mentions.
mention heaps.
Sure.
Yeah, I've got. We've also I think again as we've done every year, the pile of shame stuff we wish we played more of.
Should we do that first?
No,
maybe?
I reckon
No?
a lot of mine might come up in your lists. I think.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
sure.
So each other's lists. So
It'll
I
give
just
away
save it-
what's
Yeah. Just save it for the end.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Well, who wants to kick us off with the
Keep
number
going in
5?
this round. You go, Tommy.
Yeah.
Okay, my number 5 game of 2015 was Katana Zero.
Okay.
Ah.
Little indie platformer from the start of the year.
The prequel to Katana 1.
Yes.
It had a time slowed down
Yep.
mechanic. It had a very interesting and kind of weird story. Like it did a lot with its story for a platformer. Yeah, I really loved it. Really satisfying combat. A lot of you going into a room and having to wipe out all these enemies and really think about how you do it with your combination of being able to slow down time and use your sword to hit bullets back at enemies and having to really work out this choreography to how you're going to clear a room that when you do it felt so elegant and pulling it off and then you watching it in replay just feeling I really did something truly beautiful there when I decapitated that guy
Right,
in the middle of the
right.
room.
You are Neo in the Matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, really cool. Almost Blade Runner-y mixed with samurai kind of aesthetic and vibe. Just great. Just a really great. I think it flew under a lot of people's radar. I think especially because it didn't come out here for it. Yeah, it got blocked from release.
Yes, I was going to
'cause it
say.
had drug use in it.
Yeah.
So I think. Yeah, I haven't seen a ton of people talk about it. I think a lot of people missed out on it. But it's really great. It's my favorite indie of the year, my favorite indie in a while. And yeah, I really, really loved it. Gets increasingly harder as it goes along, gets very challenging. The story just starts to go batshit insane, and it does a lot of really interesting things with the presentation of trying to just do a very story-driven game in a pixel art 2D platformer. Really great music, just a completely solid aesthetic, and all of that combined with just super. It would still be one of my favorite games of the year, even if it was just the levels and nothing else. But the fact that it really went for this ambitious way of doing a story and melding all these elements together, yeah, definitely check it out because I feel like a lot of people missed out on it.
That does sound cool. I've completely forgotten about it.
Yeah, I really think
Yeah.
both of you would like it, especially I think you were talking about my friend Pedro,
Yeah.
maybe, and just the way what you liked about that made me think that you would really enjoy this.
This is reminding me of that, and it's one that I kind of thought about but didn't make this list, or like an honorable thing.
Yeah.
But I played it.
Yeah.
And it does sound very similar, but this is like maybe the better version of that same idea.
Yeah, definitely one for getting into over the summer break if it flew under your radar. It's not going to take a ton of your time. I can't remember exactly how long, but it's not like, it's not like some big 100-hour undertaking.
Yeah.
Good one for,
Cool.
over the holidays.
My number 5 is also my favourite indie of the year, Untitled Goose Game. It's just the...
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pretty unique experience. I don't know if it's entirely unique, but I'd never played anything like it before. Very funny, very charming, great music, fun little puzzles, just full of character. Short, but that doesn't matter for me if it's good.
No,
Yeah.
and it was the correct length, probably,
I
right?
feel like it, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's one of those weird ones that swept the internet. I don't quite know why.
It's absurd the way that game took over the world for a little patch of time there. I think just because geese are pretty funny. And just being an asshole's funny.
Yeah. I think there's a lot more people. This sounds extremely stupid. There's a lot more people playing video games these days than I think I assumed.
Right.
It's a much more broadly appealing medium.
But no, completely. I never would have had the thought of like, oh, Chrissy Teigen.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like-
she would love Untitled Goose Game.
So many people, and I think the Switch is a big part of it. A lot
Yeah.
of people picked up a Switch who hadn't played games for 15 years. It just
True.
had that level of accessibility, and because of the length of the game, the simplicity, and I think the fact that like the aim wasn't to run around shooting people or even to get sucked into this 40-hour story. It was just a simple, fun, lighthearted relief from a pretty fucked up year in the news. I think that's why it appealed to everyone and why it appealed to me. I thought it was just so well done.
Well, we talked about it at the time. It ended up on the radar of my 73-year-old father.
Yes.
Who, apart from him coming out to Nintendo HQ with me to play Yoshi's Crafted World,
Yes.
couldn't know less about video games.
Yeah.
It was getting talked about on the radio, and he was like, "Have you heard of this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've been playing it. Let's next time you're round, let's have a go." And like gave him the controller, and he's like, I don't think he's ever played a video game in his life. He was like, he was getting into it. He's like, it's truly, you could sit anyone down in front of it, and yeah,
Because it's like a bit freeform, I guess,
Yes.
is the thing. 'Cause the world is reactive enough that whatever idea you have, it kind of pans out.
Yeah.
In a very small little box, but then the objective kind of stuff and the little puzzles are fun. And this kind of sweet little through line of a kind of story is nice. There's someone we know, not well, who believes they came up with the idea for that game. You've seen this, right?
no,
Okay, I don't know if I'll say his name or not. He does comedy in Sydney. He tweeted, Untitled Goose Game developers tweeted out a photo of their group chat from some date saying, of them coming up with the idea. What about a game where you just play as a goose? And then they all started talking about it. And the date on that group chat was after this person had tweeted out a tweet saying, hey, what about a game where you just play as a goose and you fucking annoy people? Because geese are crazy.
Yeah.
if they've publicly tweeted this, can you name this person?
I don't know if it's true or not, though, is why I'm not naming them. I don't
Well, what
know.
if we all turn our mics off and you tell us the name?
Well, will it help?
Text it to me. I want to know, and I'll forget to
Just
ask
say,
you.
you're editing this. You
This
can
is
edit
gonna
it out.
take another
Well, I'm
hour
not going
to
to
do.
do. I'm not going to put that effort into this.
I'll forget to ask you afterwards because
Yeah,
we're
put it
going to
in the
go for
group
like
chat.
another hour. Yeah, just put it in the group chat.
Mic's off for
Okay,
3
yeah, everyone
seconds.
turn the mics
We'll be
off.
back in 3. This is like The Office.
Yeah, this is great. Okay.
All right, we'll be back. They're back on. I've said the name.
Okay. Nick Giannopoulos.
Yeah, he
trademarked
It was
it.
originally called Untitled Wog Game.
You're a naughty wog and you run around the village, you steal keys.
This news will be a
My
month old by the time that you listen to this
My game-
episode, but look up Nick Giannopoulos and what's been going on.
My game Born to be a Wog.
Yeah. Anyway,
Oh,
so that's
wow.
kind of a weird thing about Untitled Goose Game.
That's
funny.
interesting.
Yeah. I'm sure it'd be
yeah.
possible to dig this up on Twitter. And I'm not like hiding the identity of the person for any real reason.
Yeah.
But we don't know them that well. And also,
Right.
Yeah, that's
like,
very true.
I don't know if it's true. I don't want to accuse anyone of plagiarism.
Sure.
It's just funny.
But Martin Scorsese stole the idea for The Irishman off of me. I spent 3.5 hours doing nothing once.
And felt sad at the end.
Someone sent me they were like, oh, I just read this really funny short story online about a goose.
Yeah.
And they sent it to me, and it's like the first image in the story is a screenshot from Untitled Goose Game.
Yeah.
And it's actually a short story about a person playing Untitled Goose Game.
Right.
And how they're like really getting into, the head of like being this goose and what they're doing while they're playing the game.
Yeah.
And I go, oh, this is about a video game, because this person doesn't play games at all. I'm like, this is about a video game that I've been playing a little bit. And they were like, oh, I just thought it was like a really cool and creative short story. And I was like, the phrase, I pressed the B button, is like in the first paragraph. It's like, I don't know. I thought that was just like
Just some
fruity
slang.
creative language.
Fuck. But yeah, Untitled Goose Game, it clearly had a pretty broad impact.
Totally.
It's my number 5.
Great.
Cool. My number 5 is absolutely not an indie game or cute. It's Mortal Kombat 11.
Whoa!
And so I went through and I played 9 and 10 as well to play this one.
Yeah.
And you loved those Injustice games as well. I think both of you did, right?
Yeah, I loved them. I also enjoyed Mortal Kombat 11.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Injustice ones in particular got me into this type of thing, got me kind of back into playing fighting games even. And the Mortal Kombat ones are so fucking good.
Yes.
It's so much just dumb fun. They're these blockbuster movies with these stupid stories and this big Avengers cast of characters. It's kind of the same plot as Avengers Endgame.
Oh, fuck, it is too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same.
Yeah.
So that's fucking weird.
Yeah.
But with these Mortal Kombat characters and having played 9 and 10 just before it and it kind of zipping back and forth, I guess this is spoilery, but there's going to be some spoilers for all of these games, by the way, probably at some point.
Just quickly, the last time we talked about this game was when it came out, and I was overseas, and I have a very distinct memory of sitting in a hotel room in Paris, not able to go out and explore the city. I'd gone there the night before, had this work commitment to do, and just sitting there and listening to you on Skype describe the storyline of Mortal Kombat for what felt like 2 hours. Just sitting there listening to that going, God, what am I doing in a foreign city? This beautiful city. Just listening to these fucking bizarre plot points about Sub-Zero and shit as you wrapped up all 3 of the game's storylines.
If it's any consolation, I no longer remember any of it.
And it's like every time I think about playing Mortal Kombat, I get a little shudder of like, I'm slightly triggered by it now.
Because you played 11 on the Switch, right? And
No, I know. That's the thing I wanted, because I was like, oh, this is kind of handy that because it's come out while I'm overseas.
Yeah.
Not the ideal way to play it, but I can get it on the Switch while I'm over here. But it took me ages to find anywhere that sold video games, and then when I did find a video game store, it cost the equivalent. It cost the equivalent of like 120 Australian dollars at the shop that I went to, and I was like,
that's just EB prices, though. Really.
yeah. I think I was in the French EB.
I didn't put any more thought into it then.
Yeah. Sorry to cut you off. Yeah.
No, that's all right. I've obviously talked about it at length, but it's a very fun game. On a lot of different levels. It's got that kind of hardcore, do it every day, daily challenges, fucking fight online, top tier stuff.
Yep.
It's got the collect all this shit in the crypt and spend money on it if you want to.
Yeah.
But then also like it was pretty fun to do all those little puzzles in the crypt and it gives you nice little rewards. That's like the collection-y area.
Yeah, the cosmetic stuff. And yeah, it's all fun. It was the same in the Injustice games.
Yeah.
It's weirdly fun to change the color of your outfit.
Because they're all nicely designed and it's all quite well made. It looks fucking amazing.
Yeah, yes.
It's got this dumb fun time travel story that does not take itself at all seriously, which is perfect. And then, just the actual core feel of playing that game is really good.
It's my favorite fighting game to play of recent times. I like Tekken back in the day, never really got into Street Fighter, so there's not really been one for me in the past few years.
Yeah.
Aside from these. And they're, I think, sort of easy. or at least easy
Yeah.
to get into the mode of.
The inputs that they require of you aren't that crazy. You
Yeah.
don't have to do the sweeping, movements with the stick or anything like that.
Yeah.
You're just doing like double button presses or whatever.
Pretty much, yeah.
And all the characters are pretty different and pretty unique. And I just really enjoyed this game a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mortal Kombat 11, particularly the main thing I spent of it, which was just the story mode, and of those as a trilogy, those last three.
Yep.
My 5th favorite game of the year.
Great. My number 4 game of the year, Super Mario Maker 2.
Oh. All right.
Yeah. Don't know. We talked about it a lot at the time, but yeah, for pure, like, just so much in it. Like a basically endless game.
Yeah.
The actual like story mode that they had put into this of just having actually like 100 Nintendo made levels, I thought was just like the best. Like elevates it from being just like a cool little tool to like, this is a great game. This is just like the best 2D Mario platformer in such a long time.
Totally.
I find that
whatever it is about them just putting that coat of Nintendo paint over the top, where like it's the same game. Like the first one had 60 levels or whatever, but having those little toads in between just go like, and whatever they fucking make a noise of.
there's a little theme to the level, and it's like a little setup of like someone built this, and you read a little bit of text about like, see if you can find the key, or like whatever it is.
That stuff is so charming that it adds to those platform levels, which are kind of the same as the first one or whatever, or similar.
Yep.
But this one just felt so much more complete. You're right.
Even like the little ones of like red toad's gone missing.
Yeah.
And you got to get the little red toad taken to the end of the
Oh
level.
no, red toad.
Yeah. Like God, what was I about to say? Oh yeah, I like the new Super Mario Brothers games. They're fun, but I find them to be pretty like uninteresting visually and design wise. Like they've still got challenge and are fun, but I feel like they kind of don't go for it with the design as much as I would like them to. But this, weird level designs. Just it's got that flair that I wish they did more of in those games. And it'd be great to see them do it in a cohesive that's not like a kind of a mishmashy hodgepodge that is its own thing. But yeah, I think this is the best 2D Mario platformer I've played in a long, long time. And that's before you even get to the fact that there's a creation tool in it, and they're, as of a few weeks ago now, by the time people are hearing this, like they're adding more stuff to it. They've added a thing to it that like really changes how you can make levels in a pretty significant way. Just so much in it, so much fun. I think an essential purchase if you have a Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, yes, I think that's fair.
Creation-based games can often be pretty like overwhelming, but the interface of this, and kind of a bit of a bummer to not be on the Wii U and have the touch screen, like it did give it a bit more of ease, but still
you can get that little
stylus,
and
just do it in handheld mode,
but no, not the same.
Not quite the same, but like, it's all just that screen. It's just fun. Even just like the little sound cues of when you put blocks down, and the little voice that's kind of in time with the music. Like all those little bits of presentation it just makes you just want to make stuff because it's just fun to be on that screen.
Totally.
It's not like a blank slate that's just like a chore of just like, okay, I just want to get through this so I can play the level. It's just fun to hang out with that aesthetic for a couple of hours.
Agreed. It's just outside of my top 5.
Yeah.
And
I really enjoyed it.
Infinity of it.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
We almost take it for granted, maybe because it's like the sequel to one that did exist that had a smaller player base or something.
Yeah.
But it's an incredible thing that a Mario 2D platformer create your own game exists.
Well, I saw. I'm pretty sure I said this when we reviewed it, but I saw on the Twitter for the Kane and Rince podcast that none of them are into making their own levels, and I think the name kind of does scare people off. Like they think like, it's just a thing where you make a level and then you play it. And the Kane and Rince guys were saying on Twitter that they had started referring to it as Unlimited Mario or Infinite Mario because that is one way that you can play it. You don't have to engage with the creation tool at all. You can just get online and go through the top levels, and they're themed, and all that kind of stuff. You can
search them a lot more easily now.
Yeah.
It's not perfect.
And sharing them, like put that all of our our Patreon Facebook people sharing their levels and playing each other's was great.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
Yeah, I've been meaning to dip back into that thread and get some more going because, yeah, having a thing like this, like a little community where you can, like, share those codes. You still have to put in codes and stuff, but whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's my number 4, Super Mario Maker 2.
That I just missed out for me as well.
Yeah.
For sure, because of exactly what you said, where there was that first one. This is definitely an improvement on that, but it is still the same building blocks that they've used. It's built upon that foundation.
Interesting.
So, you know.
Not sure what he's going for there.
Yeah.
How about you build a bridge and jump off it?
So just outside of 5 for me too, sorry.
It's all right.
I apologize.
I was halfway through the first syllable.
I know. Sorry about that.
Oh my God. Why don't you build a bridge? My number 4 is Judgment.
Yeah. That's definitely a wish I'd have played more of it one.
And this is a game we chatted a few weeks ago about Disco Elysium, the sort of detective game that I started playing on the PC. And I was saying at the time, it's so great to play a good detective game again. I haven't played one in ages. I played one of the best ones I've ever played like 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And honestly, I had dipped it back in on it even more recently than that because I wanted to play a significant, amount of it before the end of the year. I played probably 14 hours of Judgment now. It's fucking great. It's the Yakuza games, but you're a cop or you're a lawyer and you're a detective and it's solving cases and it's surveilling people and putting things together. It's that LA Noire thing of like, here's a fact, here's a fact, here's a fact. How do you line them up and how are you going to get this person to confess? It's also a beat 'em up game. It's also like a open world Tokyo sim. It's
like a comedy game at times.
It is. It's really funny. It's
got those really silly side quests.
Very
and stuff.
silly. All of that is really well written. It's like Japanese modern day The Witcher 3 in that sense.
Yeah.
There's a pretty rich world and a lot of very strange characters in it. It's just perfectly put together. I don't really have any bad things to say about it. The combat, you have to be into like a beat 'em up. It's not as sort of complex or fine-tuned as sort of like maybe a turn-based RPG or even just a different kind of real-time combat game. But I really, really like it a lot, and I am looking forward to finishing it. It's, if anything, it's like, it's long, but that just means it's good value.
Yeah, that's the only thing that stopped me from playing more of it is that I played some and then went away for a month.
Yeah.
And I couldn't go back.
Yeah.
But that definitely is something that is on my fuck. I wish I had infinite time list.
It's on your fuck list.
It's on my fuck list.
But yeah, I'm really glad I went back in. It just, again, it could have just faded away because I'd played 17 other games, in the meantime.
And it's this like side project of the Yakuza series.
Yeah.
It could have easily been an afterthought type thing, but it's like a full on one of them.
It is, yeah. It's like got good performances. Like the lead character is interesting. It's just good. It's sort of like this pulpy, Japanese crime story game.
As a side thing, I played some of that Yakuza Like a Dragon. The new one that's coming out next year. There was a demo.
Dragon.
Trying to read Japanese for the very first time. I played it with my brother. I was at their house, and it's the Japanese demo of it because it comes out in like January in Japan, and he can read some Japanese.
That's right, yeah.
So, and that looks fucking sick.
Yeah, nice.
It looks really good.
Yeah, having gone in on the Yakuza series over the past 18 months. And then, ending up with Judgment, I'm all in. It's a great series.
And you can play them all on the PS4 now.
Yeah.
5's coming out in January or something.
Yeah.
I should go in on them. But I didn't this year. This year, I went in on a game by the name of my number 4 best game that I liked this year.
I'll interrupt you here.
Hey, please do. Control.
Yeah.
Is my number 4.
Yeah, okay.
We kind of mentioned it before when talking about the Jedi thing. It's so fucking interesting.
Yes.
It's not the most technically well-made game in parts. It boils down to being like a third-person shooter, sure. But there's something about the atmosphere that is just trickling through it the whole way through that is so engaging. and in like a pretty original kind of way. Like obviously with anything like this where it's like mysterious or whatever, people go like, oh, it's like David Lynch or like whatever type of things it is, kind of, you know, taking its cues from. But there's the way that it ties itself into like Remedy's other games, the stuff it does towards the end with like ridiculous set pieces with these really cool ideas for presentation stuff, it like video footage. And then that video footage would sometimes not load straight away for me and stuff like that. And it would slow down sometimes, but it still looked nice. The lighting was awesome. And all the designs of everything were really good. But even despite those technical shortcomings, there was something about it where, the combat tied together really nicely. All your different powers had a purpose for being there. And you could, when you figured out how to get into sort of a flow with that combat, it was really satisfying. And then that story, or not so much a story, but the atmosphere and the feel of it and the visual kind of places it would take you to, and the weird ideas that it had and the unique stuff that it did, I found really, really like fascinating and usually pretty fun too.
Well, when we have a game that comes up on someone else's list, you know, that we also have, do we just jumping in and talking about it?
I guess jump in, yeah.
I mean, I have to reveal it. This was my number one game of the year.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm generally pretty forgiving on those technical aspects. They don't tend to bug me that much.
Right.
Like, I think it's worth mentioning, like, frame rate issues or stuttering when we review a game or when we discuss it and recommend it.
Yeah.
But personally, it doesn't impact really at all my overall opinion on a game.
Sure.
If the game's good.
Yeah.
And Control, I thought, was just the most sort of strikingly designed, strongly, thought out, visualized game that I've played in a couple of years.
Every bullshit thing that Jedi said it was going to do, this actually did.
It totally, it does.
It has that Metroid layout with its maps. You get to know that place, partly because the actual map that you look at is shit and not very well representative. But you it's not big enough that you can't actually sort of start recognizing places and going, oh, no, not where I need to go.
And it also, I think the places are imbued with such a sense of character.
Right.
And it has tension and it has some scares and some sort of like mysterious, murky stuff. You feel like genuine relief when you see a certain area again.
Yeah.
Or you realize, oh, I'm out of that shitty area. Everything's okay. And like if you're playing on like a hard enough difficulty, it's like, oh shit, I just made it out of that. I'm just going to get to that checkpoint to recharge my energy. I'm just going to be able to unlock this or buy this new skill or weapon add-on.
And then the main abilities that you get are so different and useful. And you actually end up, when the combat demands it of you, which it doesn't all the time, but a lot of the side stuff does make you use it. Which I think is kind of cool, that you can mainline this game and it's not that big of a deal. But there's so much side stuff with these boss fights and like those little challenges that will pop up and you just have to travel somewhere. You really end up having an arsenal of useful and very different things that then you can do those skill upgrades on. And I guess those were like a little pointless sometimes, like the modifications to the weapons and that sort of stuff. Yeah,
I guess like occasionally there would be a boss or something where it's like, oh, actually, if I increase this thing, it makes it easy.
Right.
But I guess it was a nice to have thing that didn't really impact or detract from the game.
Yeah.
But I think the point about being able to complete the game without any great, any beads of sweat appearing on the forehead.
Maybe like a couple towards the end.
Yeah, occasionally a couple of spikes of difficulty.
Yeah.
Is a huge plus for me because there are other games that came out this year that maybe I would have loved that I just couldn't make it through.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not on my list, but Sekiro is one of those games.
Right.
Like it was such a great package that I couldn't get more than 4 or 5 hours through.
Yeah.
This comes up a bit in the Facebook group. Like people will be loving something and someone's like, oh, it's pretty easy. I really don't care about something being
as long as like I think Pokemon was something that came up that is, I think, genuinely too easy to be enjoyable. But again,
easy becomes boring because it's easy.
Yeah, yes.
I'm happy to kind of like be able to like walk through something without dying too much, as long as I'm having fun while I'm doing it.
Totally, yes.
Like if you don't notice it, if it doesn't really stick out, it's like, yeah, I guess I haven't died or had to use any continues, but like, yeah, I don't care. I'm happy to just be getting through it.
And I think Control balances that really,
Yeah.
really well.
Agree.
Yeah.
Because the benefit with a game like this to having a challenge in it is that you have to use all of your different tools, and they're all really cool.
Yes.
Flying
yeah.
around and fucking taking over someone's mind and then dragging someone else towards you, then using a big shield, then
Yeah.
using like the 5 or 6 different types of guns that there are.
Yep.
That each serve a pretty specific purpose. A really small, like minor complaint is that it's hard to tell which gun you have equipped because it just
Sure.
changes that crosshair and not
That's
in any
true.
way that's
Right.
indicative of what actual gun you have out.
You almost have to have remembered what you changed it to rather than
Yeah.
being able to visually tell.
And
Yeah.
memorize those shapes that the crosshair
Yeah.
is in, which are all pretty abstract things.
But like, yeah, the fucking like picking up a rock out of the ground, like a giant rock,
Yeah,
and throwing
yeah,
it
yeah.
at someone and then shooting that other. Like, it's just that combat system was so well put together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the mood and the visual design is great. Like,
Yeah.
it is a little derivative of sort of maybe your Twin Peaks or your X-Files or some weird combination, but I never really got that into either of those properties.
No.
And I loved how this was presented.
Yeah.
It was-
And it worked.
It looks fucking good when it's with like the design and everything is really, really cool. The fact that it's all in this, one building sort of, but it can look so different from area to area,
Yeah.
but still be maintaining that. It reminds me of maybe the first Half-Life where you're
Right.
in this big facility and every area is distinct, but it has this constant through line of a base kind of design or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. And also the fact that in Control, you can literally go into other, like, completely different environments because
Yeah.
of sort of the hook of the concept.
Yeah.
Is great. And it's like, well, yeah, that's what's good about video games.
Yeah.
Like, that ability to do something like that. You don't have to worry about changing shooting locations for a movie or, budget issues. It's like, hey, you just go to a fucking different dimension or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly. It doesn't matter how big this thing is
Yeah.
because who cares?
Yeah.
This is probably the most significant one on my pile of shame. I
Right.
loved what I played of it, but then something else came out a week later that I played to review on the show, and they probably both hooked me as I was into both of them probably
I think it was
equally.
Astral Chain was around the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I committed more to that just because it was like the most recent one that I'd started playing. And
Yeah.
I was like,
Sure.
I may as well just stick with this rather than go back. But I do really want to go back to it over summer because I dare say had I played more of it, it definitely would have been on my top 5. But
'Cause
it just felt wrong to include it when I'd played maybe an hour and a half of it.
Yeah, Astral Chain is on my like shame list because of this game.
Yeah,
Right.
I think exactly. I just didn't buy it because I was loving Control.
Do you want to do like a couple minutes of like full on spoiler talk with it? Because there's a couple bits towards the end that I'd love to talk about.
Yeah, I don't mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you happy with that, Tommy?
I also, I
Just turn your mic off so I can't hear it.
I don't think that there's anything in the story that would have really bugged me to have
It's-
known because it's like almost not the point.
There's a couple of moments towards the end that I
Right.
think are like the.
Try and dance around spoiling them.
Because
There-
people
there's-
might be listening to this and thinking
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh,
This is
cool,
Okay.
a
all right,
pretty
you know
strong
what, I should...
recommendation.
No,
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
spoilers.
Yeah.
There's a musical thing towards the end. There's a thing that they do with the music.
Right.
Well, there's two. They both involve music.
Right.
One is with the video, and one is with music that you're listening to while you're fighting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know the music you're listening to while you're fighting thing.
Maybe the video thing was like a side thing.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of side stuff that you can more easily than you think miss
Yes.
in this.
That's true. What do you think about the music that plays through that complex choreographed final segment?
I think it's so dumb and it's so funny and it's cool.
Yeah, I think that's how I felt
Yeah.
about it. I kind of got stuck in that bit for
Oh,
whatever
really?
reason. A couple of enemies I was just not approaching properly.
Right.
So I heard that song a million times.
Sure, that would that would make it maybe lose its impact.
On the first go through, weirdly cool.
Yeah.
Because it's a kind of lame music.
And like the everything about it is kind of lame.
Yeah.
But it pulls it off massively, which is maybe like the whole thing about that game. Like,
Yes, I
it's a
think so.
third-person shooter.
Well, the fact that like they include genuine, like actual footage, like FMV
Yeah.
stuff, could be incredibly lame.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's just really well executed for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And I really like how they think about the full package, like the full experience of whatever moment it is in the game.
Yeah.
And that crazy music bit is a perfect example of that.
Even the little bits of writing on all the little files and shit that you find around, they're really well written.
I read every single one.
Same.
Yeah.
And I normally don't really get into, or I'll read the first 10 and then lose interest.
Yeah.
But the whole way through, that game is fucking good. 4th best of the year.
Okay, my number 3 game of 2019, and this, I'm breaking one of my own long-held rules here, where I've always said, a game, it can't be like a re-release or a remaster, like it has to be completely unique, have come out. But just because of this being the year I was forced to break my own rule, Dragon Quest XI Definitive Edition on the Switch. It's super traditional as an RPG. It's very by the numbers in terms of its storytelling, and it's
funny that if this is how you were describing a parent, I would think they were racist. It's super traditional, very by the numbers.
Probably is there anyway. It's very by the numbers in terms of its approach to combat and everything.
Sure,
it's not really doing anything to reinvent the JRPG. Probably it's purely the style of it that completely wins me over. I love Akira Toriyama, the artist who's done all the character designs of Dragon Quest since the beginning. And
you were reading Dragon Ball this year as well, right?
I started going back in on Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
I just love his art design. Something about it is just right in the wheelhouse of what I really love. And so seeing his stuff in these kind of, high definition, 3D character models, it's such a vibrant world. When it opens up and the size and the scale of this land that you're exploring, the orchestrated music sounds great. And just something about getting into the vibe of just doing an hour of it each night and just playing this couple of beats of the story, do a couple of fights that are pretty straightforward, getting stuck on a couple of them and it taking a few goes to get through, but just being able to progress through it in just a very pleasant, very easy to segment up, a game that's very easy to just set yourself a time limit. These very clear beats happen where it's very easy to just tap out and then check in again the next night. Yeah, treating it like a storybook almost.
Yeah, right.
The whole presentation of the world is so rich and so believable, and I never really played a lot of, or really any JRPGs for a long time.
Yeah.
So this does feel relatively fresh for me because I've never fully gone in on one to this extent. But I loved it, and it's definitely anything that people do not like about it, that it's too by the numbers or whatever. I can totally see that, and that's a very valid call. But to me, it doesn't matter. I just was having a great time with it. Just really got sucked into it.
I really like it a lot. I've only played the demo,
right?
But that is an 11-hour demo.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But yeah, great game. Really, really fun. I think because I am famously a big fan of JRPGs, it didn't hook me in the way that it hooked you. But it's really good. I love the style as well. I'm also a big Toriyama fan.
Yep.
It's cool. It's a good game. Not on my list. It's not even in my honorable mentions.
Yeah.
No.
But it's not because I didn't like it. It's just it's a good game.
Same for me because I played some of the PS4, probably about the same amount of time in the PS4 version as the demo.
Yeah, fuck.
And then that PS4 version not getting this new content is a bit annoying.
It's frustrating.
Yeah,
That is really annoying.
Because it could easily be put in there as DLC.
DLC. Yeah.
I could see a deal being made.
That. Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah, it's a good game. I think I had a similar thing to you, Ben, where being on a console like the PS4 made it a little bit more of a chore because it was that very.
It's very traditional. Very
Yeah.
the structure is. You've seen it in 50 other games.
Yeah, and probably played through that many.
Yeah,
so that I think just made me lose interest more easily than I would have. And then I think Red Dead 2 came out last year.
Yeah.
So, but it is a great game.
Yeah.
It sort of reminds me of my experience with Ni no Kuni 2.
Right.
It's great art style, fun JRPG that did not reinvent the formula.
Yeah.
And so I kind of dropped off on it. But I also think it's a good game.
And this being on the Switch now is probably the best place to play it because that added element of just an easy drop in, drop out portable thing.
Yeah.
I went away a couple times as I was getting really hooked on it, and it was just like great for like being interstate doing gigs and just having like an hour or two to kill in the hotel room. Just like, I'm just gonna lie on my bed and play a couple of hours of this.
Yeah.
Great for a flight. Yeah. Not much more to say about it. Just just the very pure thing of like, and it's tropey as hell, but just like gang of friends heading off on an adventure, just firing that up of like, we have to get into the boat and sail to this new thing, this new place. Like, just super, super appealing in a very like, just feeling like being a little kid playing it. You know, it's
well
fun.
cooked meat and potatoes.
Yeah.
But this time, those meat and potatoes are in your pocket.
Yeah. And you get some peas on the side.
Yeah. You can dig in there and fucking yank it out whenever you like, smush it around.
My number 3 game of the year is a game I'd be surprised is if it's not on either of your guys' lists at some point, is Fire Emblem: Three Houses.
Number 3?
Yeah.
Tommy?
Number 1.
Yeah.
Not on it.
Yeah, I knew it wouldn't because you haven't really played any of it, right? It came out while you were in Edinburgh.
I've got it on a list here, and it's called the couldn't get into for some reason list.
Interesting.
And there was something about Fire Emblem where I just kept getting it seemed fine. We kept getting a little bored, I think, maybe.
That's fascinating.
As it went on.
Because I think it's almost like I don't know what the flaws are. Like
Right.
it's obviously there are other games on my list that I loved more because of the very unique and idiosyncratic things about them. Fire Emblem, I think, is just like a really good game. It's well made in every way. The style is good. The writing is good. The combat mechanics are good. It's challenging. It can be even more challenging if you want it to be.
Yep.
It's long. It's got a lot of depth to it. Great music.
This is
I
what
just
I
think
was.
it's a really good game.
This is what I was talking about before. Like, this was one of the 2 games that really sucked me in.
Yep.
To the point where I was putting in some utterly absurd hours and some incredibly late nights.
Yeah.
So
Life
you've got
damaging.
You've got to save that for the mediocre games. That's the way to actually do it.
And to the point where this is like an all-timer for me.
Yeah.
Like, I truly will think about... I already am, like, nostalgic about this.
Right.
Like, just... Yeah, it really got me in a big way.
Yeah.
Just the satisfaction of all those battles. And again, similar to Dragon Quest, the way it's structured. Like, well, yeah, quote unquote, easy to go. I'll do a day of chores around the monastery.
Yeah.
And then I'll do a battle. And then it's bedtime. Oh, fuck, I've now done that loop 8 times.
I mean, I had the exact same experience with it.
Yeah.
I love that weird structure that it had that is similar to the Persona games. Like, I don't know why. It just gives you this nice little thing of like, all right, you'll go around the what is it called? Monastery.
Yeah.
And you'll chat to some people. I mean, sure, I killed all of my kids.
Yeah, that's right.
Immediately. But
Well,
it almost made it more interesting because I had to talk to everyone almost every single time. I get to know every single character.
Right.
Helping them out, giving them presents, doing quests, trying to win them over. It was unnecessarily difficult for me, but...
You have done some weird, like... one of those like strange forum like do it this challenge way.
Yeah.
Don't pick up any of the heart containers and do the whole Zelda game with 3 hearts.
It's the machete cut where you cut off everyone's head at the start of the game. But yeah, I loved it as well.
It just and the branching paths and picking a house and everything and that leading to like such an interesting discussion with friends who are playing it in a Facebook group where like hearing how everyone approached it differently and what different beats were happening in the story. Like, I remember it being highlighted a bit more, maybe at an E3, like well before it had come out. I remember reading that people were, like, longtime fans of the series were very skeptical about the school setting and having these kind of areas,
Right.
and people were like, oh, fuck, they've changed it a bit too much and it's probably going to have fucked it. And then it coming out and people being like, this is like such a great change to it. It's freshened it up so much while still having that great core that the series has always been really well known for. And just, that chessboard feel of, like I got I got a friend into it, a friend of mine who listens to this, and yeah, she was just like, oh, I don't really know, like, I kind of want to play it because you guys have been pretty positive about it on the show, but yeah, I don't know. And then she went in and just was like obsessed within a week, and her being in my group of friends and like us at parties and just really boring everyone around us by like me going, tell me how your students are going, and her being like, see, I want to turn this guy into this, and I'm like, well, here's what you have to do, and everyone going like, you two have now turned this into the worst party we've ever been at.
But I loved all of the characters.
Yeah.
Like, they were all, some of them were a little tropey, but I don't know, there was enough depth to all of them that they felt like they had genuine personalities.
The conversations like that you have to do to like build up support stuff, which like I didn't realize how to get into that menu. So by the time there was so many built up.
Yeah.
But they're not, there was kind of like a chore to get through them in the sense of how many there were to get through. But they're also interesting. They're just like little 1 minute, and you learn a little bit about, then you really do feel this like, oh, cool, this is what's going on with all my little guys, all my little students. Yeah.
Yeah. I loved it. Third favorite of the year.
Yeah, number one for me.
I wish I'd have had more space to have played it in my head. I think it was because I was doing Edinburgh, the idea of like doing these difficult chores every day
Oh, for sure.
in a game as well.
Well, it's like when we all played through Persona 5. It's like you can't play Persona 5 every day of the year. Maybe you'll play it every day of a month, and then you'll have a month off. Like, it certainly was dependent on mood, for sure.
And I think this would have, if I'd have had, like I did luckily with Persona 5, like a spare 3 or 4 days in a row that I could just fucking grub out and just churn through the thing.
Yeah. I absolutely grubbed out for, I think, a weekend with Fire Emblem, and that's how it sort of sucked me in fully.
I tape it off and then like bought the Switch release of Doom, and was that was doing it for me.
Yeah, right.
I was like turning down social engagements to get this done. I was leaving stuff early, asking to go on early at gigs so I could get home and get a couple of hours of Fire Emblem in.
Yeah.
It really sucked my dick in a big way.
It just didn't get whatever that hook was into me, but I do see that it is a good game for sure. It's not bad. It's just something of a choice. So that was your one. That was number 3.
That was your 3.
That was my
It was my number 1.
That was your number 1.
Yep.
Oh, damn. None of my number 1 or 2 or 3 been released yet?
I wonder if
I think I might snipe one of yours with this one. My number 3 is The Outer Worlds.
Yeah, it's my number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucking fun.
It's a great game.
It's really good. It's such a shame that the combat is pointless in that game. Like, it is so easy and just unbalanced.
Yep.
You end up with a million fucking ammo.
Yes.
You end up with so many skill points that as long as you're putting them all into speech and shit, you just talk your way through everything.
Yeah.
But luckily, the world and all of the writing is so good that all you want to do is see more of that with that game. So
Totally.
those hassles being out of the way is kind of ends up being a plus almost.
Yeah. It's I loved the combination of sort of your classic BioWare and your classic Bethesda world. It had the character of the BioWare games, or the best ones.
Yeah.
It had the sort of exploration and the world building and the sort of the depth and complexity of the good Bethesda games,
and the feeling of tailoring this, or like choice and this world reacting to you.
Yes,
it did that in the best way I've seen in a long time.
Giving you ownership of your character by giving you genuine choices, genuine sort of moral grey areas to navigate through. It's the best game for that sort of thing that I played in a long time.
Totally, because the characters are all so fully formed.
Yes.
Even if you only meet them for like a little patch of time, they're really well drawn and really interesting to talk to. I ended up doing like every fucking side quest that I could find.
Yeah.
Because they were all really engaging and clever and funny sometimes and interesting, and revealed more about this really unique world that like definitely hit the same note again and again of the capitalism is bad stuff.
Yeah.
But it was so condensed compared to like a Bethesda game that it was tolerable.
Right.
At the very least, because it was so focused comparatively that I think it really, really added to the experience, that it was this whole experience contained within a relatively short playtime for that style of game.
Yeah, that's true, actually. That story, I mean, I finished it. I don't finish a lot of games these
Especially
days.
fucking Skyrim. If Skyrim had come out this year or whatever, if Fallout 4 had come out, there's no way.
Yeah, but I think the timing of that theme and story, the like corporatization of literally a galaxy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's perfect timing. It's not something that you love to think about, but like the best sci-fi, it delivers it in a palatable way that makes you understand it more and process your own feelings about it more effectively in some weird way.
Totally. As long as it's someone saying, well, I'm a spacer's choice man, rather than like, I work for Amazon and I'm going to continue to, but like it's cleverly written, totally like you said, with like the best sci-fi where it's about the real world, all of it.
Yes.
It's about class disparity. It's about the facade of like economic growth and the idea that it's even possible to have this endless fucking economic growth. Like just the cracks that are all down the walls of fucking Byzantium and all that stuff are great.
Yes.
Every little part of its world and its writing I thought was really well done. The combat is poorly
It's old-fashioned.
made. It feels good to do, but it is unbalanced.
Yeah, sure, yes.
And that's, I guess, a knock against it, but it also didn't really matter to the overall experience because what you're there for is to talk to those people and to see those worlds.
Yeah, this is another big one on the pile of shame for me. Really liked what I played, but just, didn't have the time to stick with it.
I'm so happy that Obsidian made their own original property and it was successful and good. I just want them to keep making games like this. If they become good Bethesda and just crank these out every few years, that's awesome.
I'd love to see them try a different world, but like the very end of this has sort of a bit of a setup for where they could go with a sequel.
Yeah.
But it is also very self-contained, which is fucking a nice relief of a thing. Like,
because I don't know if I ever fully completed the Skyrim story, but I think because it was just so sprawling and unfocused, it felt like maybe even if I did, I didn't really finish the game. There is a sense of completion and satisfaction with the Outer Worlds.
It's more along like the Knights of the Old Republic kind of line, where it's like this 30-hour thing, maybe even less if you skip a couple side quests or whatever.
Yeah, about 4 or 5 different worlds or, environments.
I want to replay it like as a dumb guy and as the couple of different...
Oh, yeah, I started replaying it.
Right.
Just a different character,
So is this on your list?
Yeah, this was my number 2.
Oh, your number 2, sorry.
Yes.
Right.
That's why I
missed
piped
that.
up. Yeah.
My number
So
3.
my list is done. But yes.
Oh, damn. Have we done your whole list?
Yeah, because I did Goose, Judgment, Fire Emblem, Outer Worlds, and Control.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow. You please leave.
Right, I will once again turn my microphone off.
Yeah, all those choices you can make that do seem pretty significant and have, stuff after them.
Repercussions?
Well, like content made
for...
you know what I mean? It's not like you make the choice and then all those characters disappear forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
And a lot of those kind of choicey games...
It's a branching story, or it's a branching story where there are a bunch of different branches, branches of those branches.
And sure, they're probably, different fucking chess pieces slotting into the same parts of the board that they would be in anyway for the end. But it's just a satisfying, fun game that has a really well-written and interesting world.
Yeah.
My number 2 game of 2019.
Yeah.
Astral Chain.
That's
Number
why Control
2.
was in ours and not yours. And Astral Chain is in yours, but not ours.
Astral Chain came out, the week after Control, and like I said, just devoted time to that.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it, and just stuck with it. And stylistically, great world, really well-defined world, really interesting, I guess relatively tropey story, but again, I just got really hooked in on it, and one of the handful of things that I finished this year. Combat I found super fun. The balancing act of having to like control these 2 people at once. The music was great. I was enjoying it, and then it got to this point with the story where it was like really starting to rocket forward, and it just like there's a clear point where it really, really picks up steam. And I liked that it's very linear, very like episodic, like it is almost like a little mini series almost. It like kind of divisive to a lot of people. Like I know a lot of people struggled with it, but yeah, just the combination of all those things just really, really, really hooked me in. And it was like not long after Fire Emblem where it was like a similar thing where I was like, if I had nothing on at night, I was like stoked, like great, cook dinner and then just sink a few hours into this. And then like getting to the end and it's got this like kind of weirdly emotional end and really feeling like, yeah, fuck, cool. Like felt great about having done it all the way through and in a relatively short space of time. Yeah, I wish they had a demo of it or something because I think it is worth a try. It's not for everyone for sure, but yeah, I think more people should give it a little nudge. Yeah. If you're able to get a cheap copy of it and potentially return it or borrow it from someone. But yeah, I think it's definitely worth trying. I know you tried a little bit of it, Adam, when it came out.
Yeah, I played like, I can't remember now, like the first 3-4 hours of it or something like that maybe. And I can't remember why, but I think it was because I swapped over for Control because I had just got... Anyway, I remember liking it. I remember not really feeling like I was gelling with the combat.
Yeah, right. It does take a bit.
Yeah.
There's a bit to work out, and it kind of staggers you with how you get all the different legions. So it is quite a way into the game until you have all of them and you feel in combat like you do have all these different options and you can switch people in and out and stuff. Yeah. But I like the balance between that, these very like chaotic, over the top, like anime fights. But then having these areas where you're just doing
stuff.
Yeah, super platinum. Then these areas where you're doing this just detective work, where you're just like walking around an area, having to like interrogate people, look for clues, and using the like abilities that your Legion have to sniff out clues and stuff like that. It really mixes it up. Like it's just these like two very different paces in all the areas that was just super interesting. It's similar to Fire Emblem, I guess, where you could go like, all right, I'll explore an area, then I'll do this, and then that'll do me for the night. But just that balance between the two of them and then both being interesting enough that it wasn't like, you never felt like, oh, God, I got to slog through this to get to the fun bit. It was like, oh, cool, like really happy to like have this as a palate cleanser to the really over-the-top anime bullshit that's happening. But yeah, I loved it. I really didn't know. I was really interested in it coming out. I didn't know what I was going to think of it. It kind of seemed like maybe I'll fall off this pretty quickly, but it just, got its claws into me in a big way. And it's the same as Fire Emblem where it's not only, did I finish it and it's, my number 2 favorite of the year, but it's probably an all-timer for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
In a similar way, the style just is, again, like nostalgic for it already. And I only finished it like 2 months ago or whatever.
Wow.
Gotta go back. I think I want to revisit it and play it only on the TV. I don't think I liked it in the handheld.
Yeah, I didn't play any of it in handheld. I don't think it's a good game for handheld.
I remember squinting. I remember being a little confused and not... Yeah, so I have to go back in on that one.
Yeah.
So is that all your 5 as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we did...
Fire Emblem.
Yeah, Fire Emblem. Yeah.
So what were your 5 again?
My 5 were Katana Zero, Mario Maker 2, Dragon Quest, Astral Chain, Fire Emblem.
Cool. 5 Switch games, I notice.
I know.
Oh!
Interesting.
Oh!
I know.
I don't think anyone will point that out.
Didn't want to...
We talked about how we started the podcast 4 years ago as Nintendo, PS4 and Xbox.
Nah, desperate to get an Xbox or PlayStation game in there so I didn't have to fucking hear about it from you two idiots and all the stupid cunts on Facebook that...
But yeah, well, my 5's also done.
What were your 5 again?
Mine were Untitled Goose Game, Judgment, Fire Emblem, The Outer Worlds, and Control.
Damn. If it weren't for Fire Emblem and Goose Game, I was hoping they'd all be PS4 games, but I've forgotten about those two. If it weren't for one of mine, they would all be Xbox One games. But my number 2 game of the year was Death Stranding.
Yep.
Oh, fuck, yeah. I completely forgot that no one had mentioned it yet.
Yeah. It's such a fucking good piece of work.
It's actually kind of wild that only one of us has it on their top 5.
Yeah.
It's been incredibly well reviewed.
Yeah.
A lot of our listeners love it. done incredibly well.
It's been so hyped for so many years, and it did completely live up to it for me in the end. I didn't think I liked it towards the start.
Yeah, that's right.
But once I sort of figured out what it was going for and adjusted to its terms, I got really into it. And I've even come around on the walking and the climbing and stuff because, like, it all has a purpose. Everything in there, other than, there's some stupid jokes or Conan O'Brien's in the fucking game or whatever.
Yes.
It's so designed with every part of it pointing towards this theme that it's trying to carry throughout the whole game of a individual struggling and a community thriving.
Right.
And the story is fucking dumb at some points. It gets really melodramatic and confusing, but also completely simple in the way that Kojima's stuff does. But again, there's something really charming about it that works for me with his ridiculous writing. It looks really great most of the time. There's some parts of like the environment that look a little plain, I guess. Mm-hmm. The climbing sucks. The fact that, you can kind of jank your way up these mountains is weird.
Right.
And you should be able to...
Like Morrowind style, jump diagonally up a hill and you go
little
over
bit,
a mountain.
Little bit.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff, there's little bits of it that are kind of unpolished, which is a shame because the rest of it is such... it is held up to such a high production value. But the whole experience of playing that long fucking game with the weird story and the strange gameplay that then becomes pretty straightforward gameplay sometimes, mixed in with like it's a real idiosyncratic, strange, and yet completely realized game that really sucked me in. And as you would say, Tommy, completely sucked me off. Yeah, it just worked for me.
I like in saying that I was surprised no one had mentioned it yet. Someone had to. It's such a huge achievement.
Yeah.
It's going to be a cultural touch point for video games.
Yeah.
It's really an important game. I
think. And I massively understand why there are a bunch of people, reviewers or people playing it, who have really not liked it. And I can see that point. I think it's just two different schools of thought of what a game is, maybe.
Yeah.
That it's not fun for a part, a significant part of what it is. Maybe never. I don't know. It's
right.
I don't know if I was finding it fun or finding it like impressive and enjoyable, or in the same way that Schindler's List is not fun. I don't know why that was the first one that came to mind.
Did we talk about this on the normal pod or one of the Patreons?
I don't remember.
The sort of the movie that is not an enjoyable experience, but is a good movie.
I remember saying ass to ass because of...
We talked about Requiem for a Dream, yeah.
It's that sort of thing on some level, but I also did really like it at some point.
Right.
Because it has gameplay stuff that is... really cool, especially all the online interaction stuff. Setting up a zip line to go up to someone else's zip line that they've set up for you is a great feeling, and you're genuinely like, oh, fucking thanks.
Right.
Like, the visual design of everything. I think Yoji Shinkawa is sort of my Toriyama type guy, where everything he fucking draws, I think, looks amazing.
Right.
Yeah, right.
All the characters and especially machines and shit.
Yeah. So has he been in like the Metal Gear?
Yeah. So he's worked with Kojima for like a long time.
Right.
He did all the Metal Gear designs.
Because that stuff is all. It's very. It's not like unique, but it's very a clear personal style.
Yeah.
And it's cool. I really do like all that stuff throughout the MGS series and in Death Stranding.
Whatever kind of stylized realism thing that he's got going on there is really, really good. It's a bizarre game, and it totally suited my personal tastes. It's not even that bizarre. It's like a third-person shooter. It's an action-adventure game.
Yep.
But I think the notes that it hits above that stuff really make it pop for some people, and I completely understand and can see the point of people who say, no, it's just... or it's this fundamentally, and that stuff on top of it doesn't do anything for me.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I can see how there's a baseline, like a steel frame of like a 6 out of 10 type game in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then they've put on this wallpaper that looks really nice that pops it up there to me to higher.
Yep.
To 9.6.
Sure.
Because the next game on your list is number 1.
Yeah. With a 9.7.
Right.
I'm really surprised. I think both of you played this.
Yeah. I liked it a lot.
Do you know what
Yeah.
it is?
Outer Wilds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Outer Wilds is the best game of this year.
You said that in like fucking May or whenever you had
Yeah.
played it for like
Yeah.
a week.
Continue to believe it. Splice in me fucking loving it, that game back then.
Yeah.
To hear it's imaginative, it's creative, it's new, it's original, it is cool and thoughtful, and
It's like a mature execution of like innovation in gaming.
Yeah.
Because it genuinely is. It's like so smart. It's not silly. It's subtle.
Yeah.
Like, it's a really good game. I just haven't played it enough.
Sure.
Honestly. Like,
I hadn't played it enough for it to click with me yet.
Right.
I'd still like was just kind of lost and not sure what. Yeah.
I've heard that a bunch. I've heard people saying they don't like the controls with the spaceship in
yeah,
particular.
I found that really off-putting.
I got used to that stuff pretty quickly, and I think really came to enjoy the space travel. Both of these games are weird, unique things with odd modes of travel that are off-putting to half the people that play them.
Yeah.
and they're generally about the concept of reconnection.
Sure, yeah,
Out of
yeah.
Wilds, it's like exploring. Yeah.
It's kind of post-apocalyptic or like
On a small scale.
like just pre-apocalyptic.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, it is. They are very similar because it's kind of going out there and exploring this dangerous world, but trying to bring it into a place where people can enjoy it. And I think Outer Wilds it's nice and short. It's probably maybe 8 to 12-ish kind of hours to see everything there is in it. And it's so focused in its design on these like kind of Zelda-ish planets. And then it's like a platformer, basically.
Yeah.
But just a really creative one. The imagination of it really captured me. And I ended up feeling like I was on an adventure for the whole time.
Yeah, great.
It was very fun.
I have nothing bad to say about it except from the perspective of I didn't play heaps of it. I played 3-4 hours of it maybe, and I wasn't lost in terms of the controls or the gameplay.
Yeah.
But it hadn't fully hooked me.
Yeah.
But I was enjoying it.
I think definitely that first half where you're not where the game hasn't shown you its mechanics yet. It's not like it deliberately makes you feel like you're lost in space.
Absolutely.
For
Yeah.
a long period of time. And that does make the part where you start putting all this shit together and going, oh, fuck, that's how that works. And this is what I got to do. Really satisfying, but it is confusing for a while, or at the very least obtuse. And if you don't find that to be like that, for me, like lit a thing of like, I have to figure this out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But if you're not interested in that resolution because you know, like, oh, I don't know, be some video game shit, then I also get that.
It's the game that made me get an Xbox, and I'm glad that it did.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I played it, and I want to play more of it. And I recommend it. I think everyone should give it a try.
It is great. It's on Game Pass as well. If you've got a PC or
Yeah.
you've got an Xbox, jump on that Game Pass, give it a go.
Yeah.
Do we want to get into what we honorable mention / wish we'd played more of?
Well, yes.
Sure.
Mine kind of overlap.
Yeah,
like those
right.
two categories overlap. I wish I'd played more of Death Stranding. Death Stranding and Control, I feel like if I had put more time into, they would have been in my top 5.
Right.
Control I really did think about putting in there, but it just felt like I had played such a small amount of it that it would have been incredibly unfair to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Luigi's Mansion, I still haven't put much time into. Cadence of Hyrule, I really liked. Outer Worlds and Outer Wilds and Untitled Goose Game, all ones that I got to catch up on.
Yeah.
Regret not putting more time into. It was a tough year for me time wise.
Yeah.
To fit everything in.
Yeah, I think we all had a bit of that this
Yeah.
year, which it was nice to have some of these fucking 50-hour mediocre games that I ended up finishing for some reason. But then Death Stranding was great.
The things
Yeah.
that I put time into, of course I liked them, but I put time into them because they just happened to come out at the right. If my
Right.
schedule had been different, my top 5 would have been Control and Death Stranding and whatever else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that I have any that I didn't play. Well, actually, Disco Elysium is definitely one that could have been near the top of my top 5, but I've only played about 3 hours of it.
Mm-hmm.
Really good game. Sekiro, I mentioned before as a game that I would have liked more if I could have played more of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just wasn't good enough at the game. Rage 2 is like the Outer Worlds, but slightly less original.
Sure.
Really fun, similar gameplay style, kind of better combat.
Yeah. Well, it's only combat, right? And then you
Pretty much
swap the combat and the dialogue for how important they are.
Yeah, basically. But it had good dialogue and interesting side quests and a fun world. It's a little derivative though.
Sure.
Link's Awakening I liked. Mario Maker 2 also good. Gears 5. Fitness Boxing and Ring Fit Adventure I
Yep.
thought were really well done.
Yeah.
I can't imagine them being executed any more perfectly for what they're meant to be.
Yep.
Really good fitness games, great use of the Switch and the motion controls and all of that shit. I've played them probably the most of any games
right.
this year. I think I've played Ring Fit Adventure every day since I got it.
Yeah, right.
It's just perfect for what it's meant to be, I think.
Ring Fit Adventure was one I thought would have fit into that nailed it category as well because it seemed like such a weird idea.
Yes.
But it works perfectly. But it may as well it feels almost like it's for a console that I don't own just because you
Right.
it's the fitness console.
Yep.
I own it.
Yeah.
I just never fucking touch it at the moment. Anyway, I need to fucking do that. Anyway.
It's good. It's good to get into the habit of it. I found you just do it every day.
It's fun and it's a good workout.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else do I want to mention?
I had Link's Awakening on my honorable mentions.
Yeah.
I finished it, had a good time with it.
Observation is a game that I did not finish and was basically just story. So
Right.
it feels like I can't recommend a book that I half read. But it was really fun. It was a cool, sort of interesting story game. Awesome games that I played for the first time this year that are older. Catherine, Final Fantasy IX, and the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy.
Hell yeah.
Really enjoyed all of those games. Glad that I played them this year.
Yep.
Yep.
And I didn't play Wolfenstein Youngblood, Astral Chain, or NBA 2K20, which I thought all probably will be games that I'd like
Yep.
when I played them.
I wish I'd have played Disco Elysium. That seems up my alley, but I haven't had time yet. Kind of wish I'd have played Days Gone just to see. Seems like another 60-hour-long mediocre game I'd finish.
So I kind of had that in my long list of stuff that I played and liked, but
Yeah.
I think the zombie thing, I'm just over it.
Sure.
I'm just completely over it as a setting and a story.
Yep. Judgment, huge. Luigi's Mansion 3, I've just started.
Right.
And seems good. I kind of wish I hadn't played the first one first because it seems like more of the same. But
It does seem very similar, yeah.
yeah.
But slightly better.
And then honorable things that I did. Mario Maker 2 for sure. We talked about that.
Yep.
Devil May Cry 5 was really good.
Yes, yeah.
And I played the others because of it as well, which I really enjoyed them.
Yep.
Resident Evil 2 was good, but it's a remake, so it doesn't count. But also, it was kind of newish.
Yeah.
And yeah, I liked it. I didn't think it was amazing. It was good though. That fucking guy with the hat, the Mr. X, so his name, him chasing you around. That was good shit.
Yeah.
Modern Warfare was okay, I guess. I don't know why I wrote it down. It's fine, but it's not good. Ignore that one. And What the Golf was really fun.
Oh yeah, I'll agree with that.
That was
fun.
best mobile game of the year, I reckon.
Yeah, I
It's
agree.
the only mobile game I played this year. It's my best of the year.
But yeah, really cool.
Yeah, so some heavy hitters, some big ones, but I found it hard to fill out a top 5. I don't know whether that's like I said, I think the gap between the big stuff is pretty vast, and also just the amount of time that I had. But I certainly, the stuff that I really sunk a lot of time into, I enjoyed a lot.
Yeah.
If it hadn't have been for Doom and The Last of Us getting pushed back, I would have had an easy top 5.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But I imagine I'm imagining that they will be good. There's no definite thing. But there were more games that I wished I'd have played more of, kind of, well, like Sekiro as well, and Fire Emblem, and Bloodstained. Remember that?
Yeah.
Astral Chain, Borderlands. I was kind of enjoying. There's a bunch of stuff that was good, but didn't click into that fucking
Next level.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just didn't fit in with whatever puzzle piece that's missing inside of my soul.
Yeah.
And so I didn't put too much time into them.
Well, I think like my 1, 2, and 3 are all fantastic games that I will, continue to think about and replay for the rest of my life.
Yep.
From 4 down until sort of 20, they're all kind of on the same level for me. And it's great that an original game like Control came out and the Outer Worlds, hopefully sparks this resurgence of good sort of RPG games. Fire Emblem's awesome. But yeah, the rest, it's like, it was a good year of games. But it was,
especially the back end,
It was only Outer Wilds and Death Stranding that really fucking jammed themselves into my head properly. But they really did.
Right. All right, let's wrap it up for this week. That's been our Game of the Year episode. Thank you for listening over the year.
Yeah.
Thank you for your support over the year.
Yeah.
Get on to the Bandcamp episodes if you're looking for something to do over the holiday break. You can support the show on Patreon, get a bonus episode every week, and then also get access to all the previous ones that we've done.
Yes.
So once again, if you want something to do over the break, sign up now and you can get all the... What are there? Like, how many are there now? Like, there's a lot.
Well,
There's
there'd be
over
nearly
50.
Yeah, there'd be nearly 50 of this one, and then there's other like 20 whatever of the other.
Yeah,
the one we were doing before this, the monthly episode.
True. And like I think it's the perfect time to jump on because we'll be doing a similar sort of thing to this for the Patreon stuff.
So for the next 2 weeks on this, we're doing like basically what would have been a Bandcamp, but just putting it as 2-part episode over the next 2 weeks of our games of the decade.
Yes.
I guess we don't still know exactly the format that'll take or whatever, but we're going to go through the best games of the last 10 years.
Yep.
And edit it and make it sound all nice and everything for it to be like the Bandcamp ones. So if you like that, go and have a look at the Bandcamp ones, I guess.
Yeah. And then
that'll be the first 2 weeks of 2020.
Yes, and on the Patreon, we'll be looking back at the decade in other media.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a good time to get on the Patreon because, you get this fun end of year review, end of decade review, and like 50 episodes about bullshit.
Yeah.
When we were like, we'll do the end of the decade stuff, decided that and then realized 10 years is so much longer than you think.
Yeah.
But we'll be doing that the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Get on the YouTube channel.
Oh, yes.
We've got our Until Dawn Let's Play. You can check that out. You can find links to all this stuff at filthycasuals.com.au. Guys, thanks very much for listening. We'll see you next week. As we say here at the end of every episode of Filthy Casuals.
Happy New Year!
All right.
Finally makes sense that we say that at the end of every...